Today's question comes from Larry, and he asks, how do I feel less inadequate because my wife makes more money than me?
So we actually have some experience in this area. You don't have to laugh so hard. For a long time, Monika was the primary breadwinner in our family. And what would happen is I would feel defensive about it. So when we would go out shopping and a money conversation would come up, I would feel defensive and I wouldn't necessarily be nice and loving. And so any experience around money often became weird. And she wasn't the one who was creating it. I was the one who was totally creating it. So Larry, I feel you. And the way that I was able to work through it was through a couple of things. So the first one was that I really focused on all the different areas that I was providing value to our relationship and to our family. At the time, it wasn't financial, but there were lots of different areas. But the other thing that I did was I maintained a big picture perspective. I knew that we were going to be together for the next 100 years. And right now she was making more money, but in the future, I would be making more money, and then maybe she would be making more money. Life is a roller coaster with lots of ups and downs, and this was just the situation at that time, and it didn't define who we were forever.
I think part of unworthiness is a very deep-rooted misunderstanding that a lot of human beings have. We're set up, if we have siblings, if we're in a classroom environment, where we have people around us that are doing things that we would prefer to be able to do. And we relate to, they can do it, I can't, as something's wrong. If the environment that happens in is fostered, where it's like, oh, don't worry about what you can't do, let's teach you what you can't do, so that it's no longer in the bucket called I can't, it now becomes the bucket that I can. But there's such a stigma that's been wrapped around this concept where people feel like if you can't, that means X, Y, Z, all these things that it doesn't ever have to really mean. So one of the things that Jan and I really spend a lot of work and time and effort in with our relationship as well as with our clients is helping people recognize whatever you can't do that you really want to, you can probably learn it or find someone that knows how to do it. And your only job, the game to play in life, is find the person who knows how to get to or do what you want.
So I'd like to bring a whole different perspective. So consider that this isn't about money. And basically what you're doing is you're comparing yourself to your partner and you're feeling not enough. You're feeling not worthy. You're feeling less than. So if you take the money conversation out and you could look at it from that perspective, this is really a conversation of self-acceptance and self-love. And then how do you build self-love? And the way you build self-love is by paying attention to all the ways that you are enough and you are great and you are worthy. And by looking at that, then you start building that muscle, and often the place where you're comparing yourself, one, it actually will go away because the lack of money is coming from the lack of self-belief and the self-trust. Or two, it'll also go away just because you're focusing on the good, and where you put your energy is where you'll see more of that.
So the principle is shift your perspective around the issue by looking at what may be underneath. And by doing so, then you can actually heal the real issue at hand. So if today's conversation resonated with you, go ahead and click the thumbs up button.
And if you want more support for your relationship, click the subscribe button for more Relationship 911.